ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of CP Unlimited. I'm, of course, Andrew Barczyk, joined once again by Mr. Steve Lynn. Steve, we had a big day today. The big 150th announcement here. Didn't get it in August, got it today. They did a live stream. You actually watched the live stream. Can you tell us a little bit about how they did this announcement?
So, yeah, it wasn't like anything. It was a live announcement. They did it live on their YouTube channel. I'm sure that most of the people who are going to be watching our video who like Cedar Point also saw that. So that was something new. Typically in the past when they did these online, not live announcements at the park, they would do just a pre-recorded video and release it on their YouTube channel, or usually YouTube or their website, Twitter, Instagram, whatever other social media there was. They'd have a pre-recorded thing and release it at a specific time. This one, that's what I expected this was going to be, just a quick 3-minute video explaining stuff that was going to come in 2020 for their 150th. And to my surprise, it was a live video. I was at work when I was watching this. I signed on, and I saw Tony Clark and Jason McClure. They were in front of I guess the best way to describe it is like a news desk. And behind them, it was kind of like a Good Morning America setup, where behind them there were a bunch of people who worked at the park, and they were holding up different signs and whatever. And one interesting sign was CP 2021 500 feet with a question mark, which we may talk about later and our thoughts on that. Or we might skip it entirely because this is about 2020, and there is no 500-foot roller coaster coming.
No roller coaster at all coming. None. Zero. A little bit disappointed there. I thought, there were heavy rumors that we'd be getting something. Rumors, we talked a lot about, them bringing in a portable coaster like Wildcat or Olympia Looping. We speculated a long time for. We even saw markings over by Wicked Twister during the Santa Hustle. A number of different markings and spray paint markings over between, Windseeker and Wicked Twister, exactly where we thought something would go. And then Tony Clark tweeted out, not today, but last night, that would not be a roller coaster. So to set aside that whole expectation, because, trying to prep people, if people are expecting coaster coming into this announcement and not getting one, maybe dampen that disappointing feel. But no roller coaster here for 150. A little surprising to me, to be honest here. We've been talking, Danny and I have been talking for years, 20 coasters by 2020. I don't know if that plan went out the window at some point or if that was never the plan, which is quite possible. But I thought for sure that we would get something for the 150th, being that Cedar Point is a roller coaster park. Let's not pretend that it's not. Cedar Point, they do a lot of other stuff, but it's a roller coaster park at the end of the day. People go there for the roller coasters. Always have, always will. Well, not always have, because they went there for other reasons way before. But since 1989, since Magnum XL200, it's been a roller coaster park. We'll just leave it at there. I'm sure you're disappointed. I'm a little disappointed, a little surprised maybe. But we do have a lot of things going on here for the 150th anniversary. Things that we've been kind of prepped on already, that they've been talking a whole lot at Coaster Mania, at various events, to the news media, that the 150th would be a huge celebration. And that's exactly what we're getting here, starting with Snake River Expedition. This is now the replacement for the Western Cruise, for the old paddle wheel excursions, something that when we first heard something about stuff being brought back, you and I were kind of spot on with a lot of things here. With them returning, what from the past would you like to see return? Go way back to one of the early CP Unlimited shows, and we talked about a whole lot of this stuff. Snake River Expedition, obviously not the name we came up with, but we said something to replace paddle wheel was probably pretty high on that list. And it looks like, I didn't know how they were going to do it, but it looks like they are bringing back a whole lot of what made paddle wheel really cool. With live crew members, skippers. They're going to have animatronics. They're going to add live actors to the whole thing too. This looks pretty cool. I love the name Snake River Expedition. Maybe signaling maybe the end of Snake River Falls down the line here too. I don't know. Snake River Falls, you have 2 Snake Rivers now, and one might not be staying around much longer.
So one thing that I'm super glad that they're basically bringing back paddle wheel. I loved paddle wheel. It's like riding the train. You know, it's a super hot day, super crowded park. Lines are long. You don't feel like walking around. You hop on the train. That's what you do with paddle wheel. At least that's what I would do. I mean, a lot of other people who, you know, aren't big into the roller coaster and whatever, they're going with their families. They're older. They have grandkids. They like going on paddle wheel for the fact that that's something they can do with everyone in the family. And that's what Cedar Point said this was going to be. It's something that the whole family can do. They said everyone can ride it. But yeah, I'm interested to see how much of this is it going to – they say a lot of it's going to be tied into Forbidden Frontier. So I'm interested to see how much of it's going to be relating to paddle wheel, and are they going to do anything nostalgic for the Western Cruise and paddle wheel? Or is it just going to be a whole new experience, entirely new story? I'm sure they're still going to have the very stupid jokes that we all, for some reason, really enjoy.
They're hysterical, especially my favorite. When you're docking, you see a bump in the back, a bump in the front, and of course a jerk behind the wheel. That was my favorite joke of all of them.
That was a good one.
But also, you know, I questioned last year why did they not use that other bridge to connect the old Dinosaurs Alive bridge to connect Forbidden Frontier to the Gemini Midway? And it seems like they didn't want to do that because they had this plan in place that they didn't want to do it for just 1 year because they're going to be using that river again. Now, I don't know how far they're going to go. I don't foresee them doing a full circuit like Paddle Wheel did. I think they're going to stage it maybe in the old Paddle Wheel house, have it go down, and then have it come back would be my guess because that Forbidden Frontier bridge seems pretty solid there. So
yeah.
I don't see it being a full circuit like it used to be.
And because everything has to be ADA compliant now, and there is another bridge there, but it has stairs. So they would have to have an elevator on 2 sides, which, I mean, they could totally do, but I feel like they would have already have done that to begin with rather than just put in that bridge. Because if you, like, they're planning all of this ahead of time, you would think they would know, like, hey, next year we're going to have this.
Yeah. It's not like surprise we're doing paddle wheel.
Right. So, but the only thing with what you think that they're going to go down and turn around, I feel like they're not going to just have one boat going at a time. So they're either going to have their timing on point where no boat's going to be crossing each other at the same time.
Well, those things are pretty wide. So that river is pretty wide when you get to it, and 2 can pass. And I guess
I feel like that'd be really, really tight though, especially with just I mean, you can make a boat pass, but in terms of safety reasons these aren't on a track. These boats are going to be.
But are they?
They said that they were going to be. Someone was going to have to drive them like Western Cruise and paddle wheel. So if they're on a track, it would make sense. You can make sure, you know, you would have a clearance, you'd have engineers measure it to make sure that they can pass each other. But if you're having someone actually driving, I feel like there is a bit of a safety concern where they may not want to do that. I mean, it's like driving a car though. You're driving past other people on the road. But
I'll throw one more thing out there to you. What if they put a divider in the middle of the river and put scenery? Because if you look at the one picture, they have all those houses that look like that could be reused from Snake River Falls.
Yeah.
So maybe, or not Snake River Falls, Shoot the Rapids. But maybe they're going to reroute the moat. I guess it's really not a river. Maybe they're going to reroute the moat for parts of it to make it bigger at spots, to make it so that, you know, multiple boats can go, and then maybe they're going to add scenery in the middle too, and have 2 distinct, you know, paths that you take. So those are all options in my mind. I don't know because
scenery. They could easily just put some type of divider where everyone has to go slower and a boat can't move on until another boat's in the divider or something.
Yeah.
So I guess there are ways around it, but I don't know. I'm hoping it goes through the full circle because it would be kind of a little bit boring, I guess, if you're going down and then have to turn around. And I mean, they say there's some type of story tied to it. So if you're going down to begin with, you're going to see other aspects of the story before you even actually get to them. So
I just don't see any way around the Forbidden Frontier Bridge.
Yeah.
And like you said, if if this is already planned out, why wouldn't you have already planned that? You know,
Right.
to do something, unless it has been, unless that's going to move. But I don't. It didn't seem like me that was something that was, you know, that it wasn't a drawbridge. It wasn't like a raised.
Right.
It just looked like a solid bridge to me. So
Maybe
I
when
don't
they were
know.
making Forbidden Frontier, it just happened to be easier for them to just put in that temporary bridge that was, I mean, you can, you know, it's ADA compliant. You can push a wheelchair across it if you need
Yeah.
to, versus having to take the time at that point to figure out how to get the elevators in there. Maybe it just came down to a timing thing where, you know, they figured it's easier to just replace this bridge and put them over, move it over a little bit later on rather than doing it for the first season.
So that should be exciting, though. I know a lot of people are going to be excited about the return of that type of attraction for the whole family, something that people have been complaining about for a very, very long time at Cedar Point, that the family attractions have been disappearing. So that bridges that. So the next thing on the list was this whole live entertainment thing. You know, they're doing a whole lot of stuff, especially with this new nighttime parade, where there's you know, a dozen floats that pay tribute to the different parts of Cedar Point history. It's going to be an actual parade. It says on there that they are movable floats that are going to move along with music, and then it's going to settle somewhere. It seems like it says it's going to travel down the main midway and then culminate in an epic street party over by the old Luminosity Plaza, which they call Celebration Plaza now. So this, you know, what's funny about this too, Steve, is you said one of the things that you'd like to see come back is the old Starlight experience.
I loved Starlight. There wasn't much to it. It was just literally a bunch of Christmas lights in the summer with some random Charlie Brown parade floats, but it was cool. I mean,
and what was cool is the floats were cool. The floats were like, you know, scenic, where you could take pictures with them. And it looks like these floats are going to be the same way, that these floats are going to be really scenic. The one float, like you said, actually looks like Olympia Looping.
Yeah, and we were all hoping that Cedar Point was going to rent Olympia Looping, which I guess they kind of did. They turned it into a float because it literally kind of looks like
I guess. I don't know if it's exciting.
It 3 loops. I think it's exciting. 2 loops, but it follows the same. It looks like it follows a similar layout, but no, it looks like they're all going to be lit up at night, which is cool. They're going to move, unlike the Starlight floats.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming, I mean, one thing, I don't know if anyone remembers, but I mean, the music that they had within Starlight, it was pretty cool. It was sort of spacey and just, I don't know, it made you feel like you were in a different world, kind of like. So maybe that'll be the kind of music that's in this. So we'll see. But I mean, I'm not much of a parade person. You know, Disney is known for their parades, but they have a specific theme. They're all themed to, you know, Disney characters that people have known for years. And I mean, Cedar Point's been around for 150 years, which is way longer than Disney, but still Disney stuff is more well known.
Well, it's IP based too. You know, this is your theming stuff off of Cedar Point, where if you're not familiar with the history of Cedar Point, you might be a little lost.
Right.
You know, so like I think that's where the difference is when you have IP based characters like Mickey Mouse and Chip and Dale and, you know, Little Mermaid, you can do stuff and people get excited just by seeing those characters. I don't think you're gonna, like, you could theme it to roller coasters, I guess, but
yeah. What's kind of weird is that
I'll go crazy for the Raptor float if there is one.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'll watch the parade once because I'm interested to see what it is, but after that, it's not going to be something where I'm going to return to the park specifically to see the parade. And it seems like it's themed around the 150th celebration. Outside of the people who are season pass holders and really love Cedar Point, I don't really think a lot of people care that it's Cedar Point's 150th anniversary. Like, if they're there, if it's their first time going there, or they go there once every couple years or once a year, and they're there from 9 a.m. when it opens until 10 p.m. or 12 p.m., depending on the time of year when it closes, I mean, that'd be something they may want to see just because, I mean, that's the one time they're going to see it. But as a season pass holder, I'm going to see it once. And unless it absolutely blows me away, which, I mean, it could be great. Maybe I'll want to see it multiple times, but I'm not a person who's really into the live entertainment or the parade type stuff. So I'll see it once, and that'll be good enough for me, most likely.
Well, and that's good because for you, you're going to go want to ride rides probably, and that actually helps you out a little bit because it draws people away from the thing that you want to do.
Or it's just going to crowd the midways and not let me get through.
That too. Well, I'll tell you what. When I was doing Animal Kingdom, 2 years ago, and they did. I said everyone's going to run to go see this boat show that with all these different boats coming out and fireworks or whatever. I said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go line up for Flight of Passage, and I only had to wait, 45 minutes to go ride Flight of Passage when it was carrying a 3-hour line the whole day. Yeah. So I was able to go do what I wanted to do because everyone was going over to the boat show. So maybe we'll have the same effect there because the Luminosity show and the Celebration Plaza show hasn't really drawn people like I think that they wanted it to.
During Hollow Weekends. I mean, the Hollow Weekend show, it was always packed, but at the same time,
Hollow Weekend shows,
or are there just that many people at Hollow Weekends that they just happen to be crammed into that one spot?
I'll say the Hollow Weekend show, the Boneyard, was maybe one of the best live entertainment shows I've ever seen at Cedar Point. Like that was by far outstanding. The amount of work that those cast members did, where they were up there dancing and doing different stuff for the better part of 3 hours, was one amazing to watch. I stood there for at least an hour and a half one night and just watched the different sequences. We didn't get to really talk about Hollow Weekends, but that was by far the highlight of Hollow Weekends, was watching that show and the stuff that they were doing, which is outright fantastic. One of the best live entertainment shows I've ever seen at Cedar Point. No, like there's not even a competition here, Like this isn't even like, oh, well, maybe this show was better. I can't even name you another show that I think could even rival what was being done in that Boneyard. Just the storyline, the stunts that they were doing.
The only other show that I can think of that would replace that is when they had the it's a not Cedar Point show, it's a Disney show, the lights camera action, lights stunt action, I don't know, stunt show where they had like dirt bikes and car chases and stuff. That was probably my favorite type of show ever. But
so they are doing other live entertainment stuff. They're hiring different bands to come in, so it's a band's residence program. Cool.
Yeah, they talked about that a lot in the live entertainment thing. Like, if you're a local band, I guess, and or a local band musician, you can submit your. I guess they didn't really go into detail. They're going to have more on their website. I guess you can submit your CD or some of your songs and your resume, I guess, and they might call you and say, hey, like, we want you to perform this weekend or something, which I think is cool because for me, like, I like going to the, whatever the new Bruin barbecue thing is called, Frontier Festival, and just have a beer, sit down and watch some of the shows. But after you go a couple times and it's the same people over and over again, you're like, okay, this is kind of boring.
Switch it up.
Kind of cool that, maybe one weekend I go to, and they have, it could be in the Red Garter too, or they can be all over the place. They didn't specify they were going to be in where they were going to be. But you could have a random, an acoustic show, one day, and maybe the next week there's some type of rock band. So it'll be cool to just have a little bit of a variation.
And then Lusty Lil is getting a new updated show as well. They like to change their stuff there every year anyway. But they're going to do one that plays tribute to different moments in park history and stuff. So I thought Lusty Lil's show last summer was actually really good.
They said during the live thing that it was Lusty Lil's perception of Cedar Point from her point of view, which is very different than what Cedar Point views as their history. So probably a lot of jokes about, from seeing the Lusty Lil shows in the past, it's all about her. So she's probably the queen of Cedar Point, and she's the reason Cedar Point's famous. So it'll be interesting to just kind of see how her perspective goes versus what everyone else's real history of Cedar Point is.
And her show last summer too was really solid too. That was another really good show. Not in the same category as Boneyard, but that was a really solid show for Cedar Point. Then we move into the food, a whole bunch of food. They're changing a whole lot of stuff. The French Quarter Confections. This used to be an old elephant ear place up at the front of the park. You may not really think of it.
It was either fudge or saltwater taffy.
Yeah. And well, there was an elephant ear machine in there, but you may be confused because basically the place was like never open. I think in the 20 years I've been going there, I think I saw it 30 years. I think I saw it open like once or twice. The place was never open. So they're changing it all. They're tearing down that whole building. They're making it an indoor thing, which seems to be the new theme of Cedar Point, is to take away all the classic Midway stalls and push them indoors so that you have to go inside and place orders, which is cool. It makes the place look cleaner, I think.
Also, during a hot summer day, it's a nice way to just get in some air conditioning for even 10 minutes.
Yes, so you don't have to stand out on the Midway. And plus, it cleans up the Midway, makes it so even if they're closed, it still looks nice. The other thing they're doing is the Mac Shack. Now, this is a question mark. They're saying it's over by Toffs. It could be one of two things here. And one option I really don't like, that you said, if you remember behind the Cedar Point store, behind Starbucks, there used to be like that side Midway that connected Ocean Motion to the rest of the Midway. It's like a backdoor entrance. They closed that off in recent years. There used to be a store back there called Lollapalooza that sold junk. I probably went in that store a handful of times.
Like it was like flowery, hippie looking type of thing. So that's where I think that this Mac Shack's going to go. But at the same time, if they put it there, people aren't going to know that it's there. It's not like this is Ocean Motion's first year at the park and people are going to storm the ride and find that random back alley.
But you'll see it right there. So if you put it right, if you close off that Midway completely and you kind of like extend the building and maybe put a new facade on the front and have Toffs, then the Mac Shack, then Pink's. The problem is what I'm really worried about is that they're ditching Pink's and they're going to put the Mac Shack in Pink's, because Knott's Berry Farm got rid of Pink's.
And Knott's was the first one to have Pink's, and they're the reason that there was so much hype around Pink's.
Yes. And I'm really concerned that they're ditching Pink's.
I've been to Pink's once. It was good, but, I mean, I don't know. I could get a hot dog anywhere.
Oh, no, you couldn't get that hot dog. You can get a hot dog anywhere, but I'm from Chicago, Steve. I know hot dogs. That is a solid hot dog, okay? There is no question that is a legit hot dog at Pink's. I used to get the Scotty dog. The Scotty dog would always make me sick. The hot dog with the onion rings and the barbecue sauce. On the meal plan was the hot dog with the chili cheese, the sauerkraut, and the onions. I would always hold the chili cheese. I don't really like that. But the sauerkraut and onions, were fantastic.
Oh, God. So, I mean, chili cheese and hot dogs or chili cheese in general and roller coasters, that's not a good combo. So.
Stop it. Don't be a baby, Steve. So I'm very concerned right now that they're getting rid of Pink's. It's a very real possibility. I haven't seen anywhere that says anything different. And added on top of that, I had the mac and cheese underneath the Sky Ride last season, and I wasn't all that impressed by it, to say the least.
I feel like that's different, though. because why would they make a new designated maybe this is where the Mac Shack's going.
Well, it says the Mac Shack turns up the heat when fresh hot macaroni noodles are tossed into a massive cheese block. So they're doing that thing that you see a lot on Facebook where they toss the noodles into a big cheese block to get them all cheesy. That's just show. Hopefully it's good. I don't know. I don't know. I'm really concerned that
they actually showed it during a live stream and it looked pretty good.
Yeah, I've seen it on Facebook. Like on Facebook, it's one of those things that they show off all the time.
I'm just confused. Like, are they going to replace whatever the mac and cheese thing under the Sky Ride is? Like,
they'll just make that another soda place or something.
They need it. They should make that another Coca-Cola freestyle.
Because there's a Coca-Cola thing on the one side, and then I feel like they need another Coke thing on the other side. Speaking of that area, they're bringing back the old juice bottles that everyone's been asking for. The old
I think that's taking over Auntie Anne's.
Yeah, it sounds like it says it's located right next to Scrambler. No, right next to Scrambler was the cotton candy place.
Really? I thought it was Auntie Anne's.
Auntie Anne's is the next
Anne's was a little further down. Yeah, that was more by Pagoda.
Yeah. So it goes Pagoda, then the Hat Shop, then Auntie Anne's. Then you have the big open area where, if you look back, that's where the haunted estate is and all the tables.
Estate, yeah.
Then you had the cotton candy, then Scrambler, then the bathrooms, then Matterhorn. So this is probably because that cotton candy place never never did anything.
Honestly, I didn't know that it was even a cotton candy place. I figured it was Auntie Anne's.
No, that was the kind. So this is going to take over the cotton candy place, and they're going to do slushy type drinks, which is good because if you recall, if you actually had one of those bottles of juice back in the day, they were actually really awful. I had one time. It was terrible.
When were those around? I don't remember those ever. I mean, I'm 20.
This is, but see, yeah, you're a little too young for this because this was back in the day. This was like, 93, 94.
I was born in 94, so.
Yeah, this is like Raptor just opened here type stuff. And then they're also going to be doing new fresh fruit smoothies. This is going to do well. I think cotton candy was a good idea, but you have the sweet spot now to sell all the cotton candy that you want. This is going to do do I think.
Will the smoothies be on the drink plan? Probably not.
Probably not. I'm going to say a big no. Then they're opening up the corral where if you've seen pictures, they've already knocked it down. This was the This was the food stand between Raptor and Cedar Downs. So most of it has been, I think all of it's been knocked down, and they are building a completely indoor. Once again, going back indoors, this is where the cheese on a stick is going, chicken fingers, hot dog on a stick. All those all those great things are going to be inside the corral now. So once again, the idea of them moving from outdoor stalls to indoor places to clean up that midway, I think.
Yeah. When I first saw that, I was so worried that they were getting rid of cheese on a sticks.
No, they can't.
They aren't. They're just basically having the same stuff, maybe a couple new things here and there, but basically a new building, which, I mean, is much needed. The Midway, I mean, they've pretty much redone every other Midway in the park other than the main Midway, and they're starting.
And it sounds like they're charging that you're going to be paying for the new main Midway when all the Cedar Point fans line up to buy bricks. $100 bricks are being sold to put your name on. That you can now have your name on the main Midway. So that's how they're redoing it. They're going to have you pay for it.
My birthday's in March, and I think the last day to buy those is like February 29th because it's a leap year or whatever.
Yeah.
I texted my mom and sister. I was like, hey, like, get me a Cedar Point brick for my birthday. And they're like, yeah, no.
No. I actually, back in the day when the White Sox won the World Series, they did a whole monument outside of Comiskey Park. And I got my dad for Christmas one year a brick with his name on it to go outside of the Comiskey Park. So that was cool.
Well,
I'll probably do this. It's $100. It's $130.
Give me a Christmas present for $100. You can get me a brick because apparently
a brick. For an extra $30, you can get
a paperweight.
Yeah, you get a paperweight brick too. There is also this Taste of the Point thing that they're doing that you can get a free T-shirt if you do it. It doesn't have to all be done in one day. But it's going to take you through the whole park. It's probably going to cost X amount of dollars or whatever. And you're going to get a little bit of everything that makes Cedar Point, which is kind of cool because Cedar Point does have a lot of good food. Like people always bitch about how Cedar Point has awful food and Cedar Point. But they do have some unique things like cheese on a stick and toffs. And, the fresh cut fries. Like they have a bunch of unique things that you really can't get at other parks. So that should be fun to do.
Depending on how much that is, if it's a flat fee.
Oh, it's going to be a flat fee.
$30, I'd do it. But if it's like you have to go to 15 places and pay separate, I mean.
It's going to be 50. It's going to be more than $30. I wouldn't expect anything under 50 to do this. If there's 15 things on it, and they're probably not going to give you a full thing. They're going to give you like a sample, I would assume, or maybe they'll give you if it's a full thing, you're going to be talking about $100.
Yeah. And
they're giving you a T-shirt at the end of it. The T-shirt by itself, Cedar Point pricing puts that at $25, Steve. So,
with talking about T-shirts, I don't know if this was on the blog post. I haven't read through the whole thing because I haven't read the blog post at all because I watched the live video. But they showed a lot of the items that are going to be sold for the 150th anniversary. The hoodies look awesome. I really like the hoodies. The T-shirt's cool, but I'd rather spend my money on the hoodie. They did say that they were going to have 500 limited edition coins, similar to what you would win in Tweet-Ups, but these are for purchase only. So I don't know if maybe they're going to have a separate coin for Tweet-Up. Maybe they're going to use some of them for Tweet-Ups. but they do have some type of coin that was, I'm assuming is similar to the look of the coins that you could win during a tweet up that are for purchase. They only have 500 of them, which, it's pretty cool.
One guy's going to buy the first 500 and call it a day.
Sell them on eBay.
Yep, that's what's going to happen. So some of the merchandise looks cool. They also talk about the Cedar Point button trading, which I thought might have been the most interesting part of this. Is, Disney's known for the pin trading. They're going to do the button trading, which I think is interesting because Cedar Point has always been kind of like synonymous with buttons and not pins.
Yeah.
They've always done buttons for like live entertainment shows, for anniversaries, for Halloween. The button is like a thing. Even for Coaster-mania used to have buttons before they went to the pins.
See, they only had like 5 buttons for this year though, which, I mean, you would think they'd have a lot more, but I mean, they can obviously expand upon it, but I don't know. I feel like, I mean, you only have a selection of 5.
And it seems, it says on the blog now that hundreds of designs are going to be available, featuring current and former attractions, logos and phrases, and more.
So maybe they were only advertising 5 during the live.
I think they only showed off 5. And it says each operating day, you'll be encouraged to trade your buttons with each other or with select park associates. Limited edition buttons not available for purchase will also be placed into circulation. So this is basically Disney pin trading, but with buttons.
That's really cool if they have 100. But yeah, because when I was watching the live stream, I must have missed the part where it said they were going to have many of them because they only had
only showed off 5 in the picture, but it says here hundreds of designs. So this will drive people into the poorhouse, I believe. So
I worked at Disney and I've gone to Disney many times, and I spend way too much money on buttons. And right now, I believe they're just in I think they're just in a junk drawer, and they're at my mom's house somewhere. So,
I like to turn all my pins and buttons into magnets. So that's not good. I'm going to run out of space really quick.
It'd be cool to just throw in my fridge.
Yeah. They're also bringing back the keyhole photos, which a lot of people are excited about. I guess cool, whatever. Merchandise wise, I think that wraps it up.
They are having some type of new snow globe type of thing. They're having Christmas ornaments.
I heard about the Christmas ornament, the limited edition.
Yeah, and then I mean, really, they're going to have their. Oh, they did say they are so the main hub for all of Cedar Point 150-year anniversary stuff is going to be where Pagoda Gift Shop was. Yeah. They're rebranding it. I don't know if it's still going to look like a pagoda, but they said something. It's going to be called Celebration Central, I believe. I don't remember. I'm not looking at the form.
Yeah, it's called Celebration Central. So
yeah, so they're rebranding Pagoda and having everything related to 150th anniversary. You can get there. They're still going to have other things scattered around the park, but the full allotment of things you can get will be located at the whatever new pagoda is going to be.
The other big thing that they're doing is, and we knew about this already, was the redoing of Town Hall and changing that into something that's more dynamic. It looks really cool. So you're going to have like permanent features in there, but you're also going to have like rotating exhibits like a real museum does. So they're going to have like rotating exhibits that show off different ride stuff, ride development logos, blueprints, models.
What I would love to see is blueprints. Like obviously, you could see the blueprint for Maverick, Millennium Force, whatever, the final blueprint, that's great. I'd love to see the stuff, the blueprints that never made it. Like I'd love the Millennium Force blueprint that came in second place and was not the one that was at like agreed upon. Like what did that look like? What did the Maverick blueprint look like? What other things were there that, I mean, they're probably not going to show us a ride that never existed, but like just to be able to see, like, I mean, even just something as simple as like the antique cars, like what alternate place did they think of putting that? Like that, if they had put that somewhere else, it would be cool to just think in your mind, like, oh wow, like how the park looked today versus if they actually put it where, in this, where this blueprint was going to be.
That would be really cool if they did that, because and it would drive people in there, like all the nerds would go in there.
Yeah,
Want to see how the nerds
like imagine how Cedar Point would look if they never put in Raptor.
Well, the place would be empty because they still haven't announced that this year's attendance beat Raptors attendance. So we're still waiting on that announcement. But you would think the season's over. I don't know. I thought they were going to. I thought it was a shoo-in this year that Raptor would finally fall attendance-wise for the attendance champion. But it seems like this year, I don't know. We'll see. The other two things they're doing, a history walk where you can do like an augmented reality history walk through the park. They're doing Segway walks around the whole peninsula. Seems like some cool stuff that they're doing. The only other thing that they made a big deal out, this is way before my time, so I don't know what they're talking about here, but it's called the Courtesy Core, where they used to have stands in the park with people on them, and they would give like instructions, check the heights, and do pick up park maps, show guides, answer questions, basically like information kiosks.
I feel like that should have been something that they never should have gotten rid of, because when I worked at Cedar Point, I worked in guest services, and half of the problems that we would have were just escalated so much because people were so angry that they had to walk so far to the front of the park just to voice their complaint.
Yeah.
So I think this is great that they're having these, someone has some type of issue, they can go to any of these locations throughout the park, not have to walk a mile to the front of the park and wait in an extremely long line because that's the only guest services there is. So I think this will help. I think it'll be great because I often need to see what the show schedule is, and it'll be easier to just walk up to one of those people and be like, hey, can I have a schedule? And go on.
So hopefully, is this the end? I don't know. So I guess now's the time, Steve, to talk about the sign and to talk about the 500-foot ride. They're throwing it out there already. So, and we've already talked about this. We said there are two. Well, there's one clear place where a 500-foot roller coaster would go, and that's out by Sandcastle Suites. And obviously, that's the turnaround. So the question is, where does it start? And I have speculated in the past that you could use the antique cars to start a 500-foot. The antique cars in Frontier Town could easily put a station there, shoot it out, have it come back, do some dippity-doo-dahs every which way. But you had a different idea, and this is one that I'm not as excited for because of what it means. So why don't you go through that idea?
It would mean that Gemini would need to go away.
Yeah.
I think Gemini would – that's just an ideal spot to put an entrance of a ride. One thing that we didn't mention before, they did mention during the live stream, there's going to be a Gemini car in the parade, which is kind of odd. Like what? Blue Streak's older than Gemini. Blue Streak has more of a history with Cedar Point. Why are they putting a Gemini car in there? This is a stretch that I'm saying this, but
no,
Gemini is going away. I hope it doesn't go away. I like it. It's one of the most, I guess, thrilling rides there that never has a line, or if it does have a line, it takes 15 minutes to go through. So
it's going to be a real sad day because Gemini is the coaster that I have ridden the most in my life. And I still think it's like, I think the drops you get on Gemini are still spectacular. Yeah, the turnarounds aren't all that great. You don't get a whole lot of force on them. The racing aspect, especially at night, used to be a lot more fun. The kids today and the people today don't really get into it like they used to.
It's not even a ride that's open on Friday nights during Halloween weekends. Like, that's how unpopular, I guess, it has become. Just, it's a great ride, but at one point, that was all the world. There's so many. That's basically a kiddie ride now in terms of
it really is.
To the other rides that exist, but the only other place, if it wasn't going to take over the antique cars or Gemini,
don't say it. Don't say it.
No, I wasn't going to say it.
Okay, good.
I'm not even going to bring it up. The only, all right, so I guess there is one other place, but I'm not going to say it.
No,
outside of that other place, I could see it going behind that bathroom area in between Gemini and, now Steel Vengeance, right behind the Sky. What the hell is that called?
Oh shit,
the slingshot.
Slingshot.
Yeah, that thing that no one ever rides.
Really fun ride though. I rode it once. I don't paint. I rode it once, and it's one of the best things I ever did in my life. It's really amazing. Yeah.
I could see it starting behind there because the only other thing that's back there is I think if you've ever gone on Winter Chill Out, there's a sign shop in there. There's a security booth back there, and there's just general storage.
And they've also made a big deal about purchasing land off the peninsula to move stuff like that too. Mm-hmm. So you could extend the midway there and find a way to maybe – it'd be a real tight fit because of the train. But if you extended the midway back and got rid of those bathrooms and had a pathway back to it, you could probably start something there and use that whole parking lot area, maybe even the parking lot area by Gemini, and use it to shoot things back. So I think it's going to happen. I really do. I think Cedar Point's going to break a record, and I would not be surprised if next year is the year to do that. Like they're doing the Orion thing down south. Who cares, right? But I think next year, I hope next year is Cedar Point's year to do something. Okay, we celebrated 150. Now let's go to 151 and celebrate the next 150 with 500-foot roller coaster.
Started off with a bang.
Right? I'd be okay with it. Are you okay with it?
I'm okay with that.
I'm perfectly okay with it. Let's do it. Let's set the world on fire, right?
Well, we'll have to wait and see. We're probably anything 2020 related. This whole year is going to be a celebration. So even if they are doing something for 2020, normally we get some type of announcement around August. Start seeing clues early. I think we might see clues of something happening. Maybe construction. I don't think we're going to get an announcement until later than normal, just because they're so focused on having it be just such a huge celebration. So I don't think they want to take away from that. But
and the other thing too is I think Halloween-Weekends is going to be big, because there were hints of them doing something with Forbidden Frontier for Halloween-Weekends maybe this year, that they want to do something real special with that for Halloween-Weekends. And maybe that's going to be this year, maybe not. I don't know. But I think if it is going to be 500 feet, we're going to see clearing. They're going to have I know they've already cleared Sandcastle, so that's already done. But they're going to have to start.
That's what they did for Valraven. They cleared the ice rink a year before it happened, but a whole well before they even needed to start constructing anything relating to Valraven. So
especially with how the winters get in Ohio, they're so unpredictable. You don't want to be sitting on stuff and have a schedule that gets pushed back because
2 days ago it was 50 degrees, and now it's this morning when I went to work it was 19 degrees. So exactly. How that goes.
Yep.
But the only other thing that we have to discuss is this lifetime pass that they're offering, which is pretty cool. I hope I win. I probably won't. They're only going to give out 150 of them. There weren't really much details on how you win, so it just kind of seems like you enter a drawing online or at the park. You fill out some type of form, and if you're lucky enough, they call you, and they're giving out 150 winners, and each winner can choose 3 people to also have lifetime passes. So.
I think that's the coolest part of it. The problem is, does it come with free parking?
It does.
It does. Okay. Yeah. So now you're talking. So it doesn't come with free parking. Then I still got to buy the pass anyway.
You get unlimited entrance to Cedar Point. You get Cedar Point Shores, and you get free parking. So
it's not like a platinum pass. It's just a gold pass basically.
It's basically a gold pass, forever.
Which is cool. Which is for most people that's going to be, even for me, that's probably the way I'm going to go in the future.
Yeah.
Especially if I don't.
This does bring up. We weren't planning on talking about this at all, but the Cedar Point pass perks, where they didn't really discuss anything with that either. Where
I don't know. I'm used to the Six Flags pass perks, and the Six Flags pass perks are seriously legit. If you buy I have a Diamond Elite membership. If you buy some of the upper tiers, the pass perks are outstanding. 50% off of everything in the park.
That's a good deal.
That for me, I'm buying stuff left and right in the park, so that helps me out immensely. I was not the idea of if I go to the park and I get enough points that they'll send me something for the next time I go. I don't know about all
See, with
they're
that,
still
they
like
made
hedging
it
their
seem like
bets.
it's less of like about getting discounted things and cheaper things, and more about like you accumulate points and can win cool stuff, or like maybe it hasn't been really clear whether you redeem your points for something or if you're just entered into drawings. But I mean, you can
It
win a
sounds
fast
like
lane. That'd be pretty cool if I go to the park 3 times and I can get a fast lane. I mean, I
yeah.
went 12 times last year, so I mean that would it's probably not going to be you go 3 times and get a fast lane, but just for the sake of argument, let's say that's it. I'd have 4 free fast lanes. I mean, that's awesome.
I think it's going to have to be like they're going to have to lay this out more. It's too nebulous right now. There's not enough specifics. The idea, I like the idea. The idea is good that people who go to the park, spend money in the park, do things in the park, should get some sort of benefit for doing so. Besides just, I'm dropping, $150 at the pagoda. Like, it'd be cool to get, a little bit something back for that. I'm not saying give me 50% off of everything, even though Six Flags does. But it would be nice to get something for that. So we'll have to see how it goes, because right now there's just not enough information.
I feel like they have the idea in place and they're still just working out all the details. That's why there aren't enough details available to everyone. But
I know Dorney rolled something like this out a while ago, last year, the year before, maybe. So maybe some of the Dorney people can comment on how it went there. But we'll see what happens. We'll see.
Yeah, but I apparently Winter Chill Out sold out in less than an hour, and
yeah, it's like 20 minutes. It sold out.
I happened to get tickets, my girlfriend actually bought tickets for me, her sister, and her dad. So we'll be going.
Cool.
I mean, it's many months away, but I think we have the 9:30 time slot. So if any of you are going and see me there, say hello.
Yeah, that'll be fun. You'll get to see a whole lot of construction too.
Yeah, we'll see a lot of buildings and food stands being constructed and no roller coasters, but it's cool.
Whatever. So also the last thing, don't forget to cast your vote in the Thrilling 32 Ride Warrior Choice Awards this year. If you want to, you can download the Excel file on thrilling32.com. There's also a way that you can do it on a mobile app for all you mobile people out there. You have to download an Open Office app. It's called let me find it. It's called Office 700 Lite, and you can download the Excel file onto there and then send it to our Thrilling 32 or Ride Warrior Choice Awards Facebook page through Messenger then. You can submit it that way, your ballot that way too. Balloting and voting will be open until the new year, January 1st or December 31st at midnight is the cutoff. So please get your vote in there. Vote Steel Vengeance #1. Come on, guys. We don't want to see.
Don't be stupid.
we don't want to see Steel Vengeance leave that belt this year. Steel Vengeance has that beautiful side plate on there already. We don't want to see that going away.
And he just doesn't want to have to pay for a new plate.
I don't want to have to pay for a new side plate. So you need to go out there and vote for Steel Vengeance #1. Whatever wood coaster you want. Who cares about wood coasters anyway? Cedar Point doesn't have any good ones. Well, ones that are ranking. But why not? Just vote Mean Streak and Blue Streak in the top 10. Danny Miller. So it's always fun to do that. So that is through thrilling32.com. You can go find the ballot there. As always, I am Andy Rybarczyk from Chicago, Illinois.
And I am Steve Lynn from Cleveland, Ohio.
Right on, Ride Warriors.